Hi guys, welcome to Creative
Readers,
etc.
Jazz hands.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so today Lexie and I, are doing a book talk over Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Yep, that's right. And I probably we're gonna set it right back here as we're talking about it, so you can look at it.
All its glory.
In all its glory. That's right.
First
the cover is gorgeous.
We'll start with the cover. 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Very beautiful. I like
really
this color.
It is really nice. It's actually my favorite color, like purple mixed with blue. Literally, I'm a sucker for that. So, yes. Let's see. This was our book club book for, I don't know.
This semester, probably.
Yeah. We started reading this book, and at first, I was kind of like, it's another mystery. We read a mystery last year, and mysteries aren't my favorite.
I like them, I just don't read them that often.
Yeah, I usually can tell, like, who did it when that character appears, and I'm always like, ugh, you did it. It's obvious. Like, come on, let's move on. But the one we read last year, which was, where is it? It's up here somewhere. Two Can Keep a Secret. That one was pretty good. I had no idea. And then this one was also really good.
These mystery writers are getting better. They're getting on their game.
Honestly, like, I've had no idea who's done it in either of these. So,
and we still don't.
Yeah, and we still don't. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But right now, we're gonna give our disclaimer for a spoiler alert because
spoilers, all the spoilers.
If you don't plan on reading this book, then you should be fine. But if you even plan on picking it up and enjoying it, you might want to just like
read it and then come back to this video.
Read it and then come back. So let's just start out talking about kind of like, I guess, the plot overall.
Yeah.
So
it starts off at a school called Ellingham after Albert Ellingham, a philanthropist. He created a school for children who love to learn and are very smart, but it's not necessarily book smart. There's children from all kinds of, like, there's actors, there's a crime enthusiast, there's inventors, there's all sorts of people, and they just have to love to learn. And the school is free to get into.
Yeah, because he's rich.
Yeah,
he's very rich. Loaded. So he's like, I'm just going to make this school that's free for people. So, yeah.
It's cool. I would love to go there.
I would too. It sounds amazing.
I would die.
Honestly. The setting, like, the writing of the setting and the imagery is very good in this book, all throughout. Like, whenever the author is describing anything, like, you can see it perfectly in your mind. Like, there's no question to what it looks like. Honestly.
So after, it starts off with this character named Dolores, aka Dottie. She is getting invited to the school. She's like, I can't afford it. But then he's like, it's free. So she goes and she finds she loves it there, and she reads a bunch of mysteries like Sherlock Holmes and stuff. And she likes to get into places to read. And then one day someone is in her secret place that she found, and basically he's like, you can't leave without knowing, because you know what you've seen.
Because he's just captured some people. Which all this part of the story is set in 1936. So it's kind of like throughout the book, it
goes back and forth.
Yeah, it like jumps back and forth. And it's really obvious when it does it. Sometimes when authors try to do that, it's like confusing. But it's not confusing. It's like
it clearly says August 18th, 1936.
Yes, and it's really, I really loved it. I thought it was done really well.
It was.
And it was really nice to read. And then throughout the story, you get another little part of a different story that lines up with the story. But it was just really nice.
So this guy kills Dolores, and this is where our story begins with our main protagonist, Stevie.
Yes, Stevie, oh my gosh, okay. I love her character so much. So basically what Stevie is she got accepted to this school, and her parents and her both just have no idea how. And they're like, well, okay, YOLO, I guess you're going. And her parents don't really want her to go, but she wants to go. So they're like, well, I guess you got into this really good school for free. Might as well send you. But Stevie is a crime enthusiast, is what she calls herself. So really, she's just someone who just loves true crime, and she studies it, and
she's really good.
Yeah,
she wants to be in the FBI.
Yeah, like she walked in, and one of the characters walked in, and she
looked him up and down. She said, "Daddy's money."
Yeah, honestly, like and her dad looks over and he's like, okay, Sherlock Holmes or whatever. Like, so she just has like that analytical mind that like notices things and like can deduce from what she notices. And honestly, I just love her as a character so much. So basically throughout the story, Stevie is just figuring out how she's gonna fit in at this school, and she struggles with understanding like who her friends are and who they're not. So it's fun to get to see her be like a little bit conscious of like, do I fit in here? Do I not? And then I really loved it whenever like her best friend Janelle, who they like hadn't met before, but they had talked on like pen pals kind of. I really liked that point where Janelle was like, no girl, I'm here for you. And I was like, yes, Janelle, okay, yes. And then her other friend, Nate, who is, oh my gosh.
I love Nate.
I love Nate.
Nate is like my favorite.
Honestly, he's like an introvert, but he's like also a little bit emo, but he's also like a really good friend. And I'm like.
And he's a writer.
Yeah,
I wish I had a Nate.
Honestly. Yeah, we all wish we had a Nate, honestly.
You're right. Get yourself a Nate, ladies and
gentlemen.
He's
a little quiet. He's just a little bit just kind of chilling in the background.
He's a very reserved person.
Yes.
He doesn't speak unnecessary words.
Yes, but when he does, it's always like, yes, child, what the heck? So then we meet Ellie and
David.
Hayes. Yes, and Hayes. Hayes is...
They're her housemates.
Yeah, so Hayes is a movie writer. He gets Stevie and Nate to help him write a like a crime movie thing
based on the Ellingham tragedy that had happened.
Yeah, with Dottie and her murder, and then
the kidnapping of Alice and Iris.
Yes.
Who was Albert Ellingham, the school's founder. They were his wife and daughter, not respectively. Alice is the daughter, Iris is the wife. And they got kidnapped, and Iris got killed, and nobody ever found Alice.
Yeah, so basically, Stevie's whole plan is to try to solve these murders. So when Hayes is like, hey, let's make a documentary about this, her and Nate are all in on it. Well, Nate's a little bit hesitant because he's never written a screenplay, but they end up doing it, and so they go to film, and the place where Dottie liked to read, where she would climb through a tunnel into like an island type thing, and they had closed off the tunnel. It
was structurally unsound.
Yeah, it was structurally unsound, so they like filled it in and everything. But in the years that Hayes and Stevie got to the school, they have like excavated it, like completely dug it out, and it's locked off, and they're not supposed to know about it. But Hayes, it's his second year at the school, so he does know about it. So they go down into this tunnel to film it, and they like film their thing or whatever. And then Stevie gets all giddy and just happy that she gets to go see like the actual crime because, you know, she loves all that stuff so much. So she gets really excited. They go down there, they film their thing, and then after they come back up, they're all just kind of hanging out, and then
Hayes doesn't show up.
And then Hayes doesn't come back, and they're like, where's Hayes? And
spoiler alert, Hayes dies.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I mean, I did not see it coming.
I didn't expect it to.
But, so Hayes dies. Stevie actually goes with the security guard and, like, they find him. So the cops show up, they have to talk to all the police. Stevie's, like, kind of in shock, but also kind of like, oh, this is interesting. But also, like, crap, that was my friend who just died. So she's
Except not really her friend.
Like,
she had very mixed feelings about the whole thing.
Yeah, so she's kind of like, oh, wow, that just happened. But, like, she's also interested. So then she's kind of, like, stuck in the feelings of, wow, this is interesting. And, well, crap, I knew that guy. And now he's not here anymore. And so that's kind of interesting to see, like, because she's always been on the opposite side of that. Like, this is interesting. Like, I love all this stuff. But then it actually happens to, like, somebody that she knows. And her feelings are just a little bit mixed. Because I think she finally realizes, like, the weight of it all. But I thought that was a good character point, too.
So, Stevie was, to get over the shock, doing a bunch of, like, crime research and stuff on the case to kind of cope with it. And I guess she did so much more research that her brain went into overload, and she had a panic attack that night. But it wasn't because of the death or the research. It was because when she was dozing off, she kind of like saw this message that was written in the same fashion as the poem from the Ellingham kidnappings. And it freaked her out because it was talking about murder and all of this other stuff. And she didn't want to report it because she knew people would think she was insane. And Janelle was able to convince her it was just a dream. But was it just a dream?
That is a question. So let's talk about David for a second. So we haven't really mentioned him that much. We mentioned that we don't like him, but like, okay, listen. So the whole time that David is there, David and Ellie are like really close. They're just friends. They're not dating or anything, which I wish they were because, whatever. So the whole time, Stevie is thinking in her head, she's like, I don't like this David kid. She's like,
There's one time where she goes, he's hot.
But then the rest of the time, he's wearing the same clothes for 3 days. And she's like, that's disgusting. And then she's like, I get weird vibes from this dude. I'm not liking it. And
like
then
he's lying about who he is.
Yes, and then there's straight up, she's like, this dude is creepy. I need to watch out for him. And then literally...
The night Hayes
dies. David walks in, he's like, hey, you good? And she's like, yeah. And then they just make out randomly. And I'm like, whoa. Back up.
Where did this come from?
What? It literally came from nowhere. I did not ship it at all.
I really thought she was going to end up with Nate.
I didn't think she was going to end up with any, like, her
like,
character.
I would have been fine either way, but if she was going to end up with anyone, I thought it was going to be Nate. Yeah. I could see that. I shipped that.
And her character is so strong. I didn't really ship her with anybody because her character is such a really strong character. And I mean, she has her flaws, she has her insecurities, but it's written in such a strong way that I was like, she really doesn't need a man. Like, she's got her crime stuff. She's going to go be amazing on her own.
No, it felt like he was, like, taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, because, like
I know she kissed him, but she was in shock. And shock makes you do weird things. I mean, she was controlling the shock because she obviously knew to expect the shock. So she's like, let me write down all the details of the crime so I don't forget it and all this other stuff. Because she studies that. But, I mean... Even the most prepared person, when someone you know dies, like, gets murdered suddenly, she didn't know it was a murder at this point. But, I mean, you'd still be in, like, a state of, wow.
Yeah, so it was just not good. Didn't like David, didn't like that. He had a few redeeming moments later on, but I still won't ship it. I'm still just like, no, bro.
It could be a good ship if it was developed differently.
Yes. Like, if it was developed even a little bit, but if he's, like... The way that David is written, it makes the reader not like him. So then, for them to get together, it's like, ugh. Like, I realize that characters have flaws, and if David would have been, like, a good character that just had flaws, like normal characters, he would have been fine. But the way he was written was to make the reader dislike him. Like, he wears the same clothes for 3 days. Obviously, disgusting. He's creepy. He bothers Stevie. He walks up and, like, talks to her, and then he
makes fun of her.
Yeah, he just acts weird, and he's very off-putting.
Like, the night after Hayes' murder, like, they had to call all the parents, obviously. Well, it wasn't a murder at this point. But they had to call all the parents, and so Stevie's parents were like, we're coming to get you, you're going home. So she was like, can we talk about this? So they go to meet at a bus stop. And then David shows up and just crashes their whole trip.
He really did.
And he was, like, talking to them and, like, butt-kissing up to the parents. And he told them that he was Stevie's boyfriend. And Stevie was like, bet.
Yeah.
But she couldn't say anything. And she got to stay. But it was because of what David did and not because of what she did. And I hated that so much.
I kind of liked that scene. I thought that was finally, like, the first okay character thing that he did. Because before that, he had no character. He was just that dude that was creepy.
It would have been good if he had, like, warned Stevie or something.
True.
But the fact that he just ambushed her with this and, like, pretended to be her boyfriend and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we know they end up together. But, like, ish.
Yeah.
But, like...
I was just like, whatever. I don't know. It just wasn't good. We've ranted about this for, like, a long time. But, okay. So, off the track of David being awful and us hating him. So, after they find Hayes, they figure out that the reason he died was because he suffocated because of carbon dioxide poisoning.
Because they used
he was
liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, he was trying to use dry ice to like create a fog effect, and then there was like 10 gallons of it.
Like you have 15, something
15,
like that.
yeah, like a lot, like an excessive amount of dry ice.
And it displaced.
Down in the, yeah, and since he was down in the tunnel, it like...
He went down there by himself after they did all this filming, and that's why nobody else died.
Yeah. And so they were like, well, I guess it was just an accident. But then Stevie is like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But Hayes was actually like on a Skype call whenever...
With his girlfriend?
Yeah, with his girlfriend when he was supposed to be like getting the dry ice. So then it like led Stevie to believe that he didn't get the dry ice, somebody else got it. And so it like raises the question of all that. And so
then she does some poking around and she figures out that he didn't write the script for the movie that he said he wrote the script for. And also he filmed it at Ellingham, which he didn't say he filmed it at Ellingham. He said he filmed it in Florida. So she was like, this is sketchy.
So that created motive because he's made a lot of money. And basically he got into the school off this movie that he's made. And then they figured out that like he didn't even make it. He literally just like took all the credit for it basically. And so then that's when it leads Stevie to look at Ellie, like David's friend, to, which she's an artist, and I really like her character.
I do too. She's a drunkard.
Yeah, she's kind of...
And she has a saxophone named Ruta.
Yeah, she's odd. She's a real odd character.
She is, but I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. I literally was just...
She kind of reminds me of like Luna, but less innocent.
Yeah, that's actually... Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it. But, so, Stevie is like, well, she has motive. And then they start talking to one of Hayes' girlfriends, and they had been arguing about $500 that Hayes owed his girlfriend because he borrowed it off of her. But then Stevie finds out that Ellie had taken
Ruta
had taken the money from Hayes, or he gave it to her, and then that's how she bought her saxophone.
Yeah,
so
he paid her to write the script for his movie, so she's like, Ellie, did you kill Hayes? And then Ellie ran away.
Yeah, and then Ellie just runs away. And so then they catch her, and the police get her, and they're just chilling in a room. And then they're like, oh, we'll leave her in there for a second to cool down or something.
And then she runs away.
Yeah, and then she like climbs through the panels in the walls, I believe.
And nobody can find her.
Yeah, and they can't find her. So.
And then the senator that Stevie's parents work for show up. His name's Edward King. And David's like, how do you think your parents got that job? And she's like, I knew I'd seen his face before. So basically, David is the senator's son.
Yeah.
And we're all like, what? And then the book ends.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's the biggest cliffhanger that I've ever read. Like, we don't get resolved on what happened in 1936. Like, that all plays out. It's crazy. It's really good. We don't understand what happens. We don't get to the end of that story. We don't get to the end of this story. Like, Ellie's just gone.
I don't think Ellie did it.
I don't think Ellie did it either, but I think
she might know who did it.
I don't know what her deal is, though, but honestly.
She might know who did it, but I don't think she did it.
Yeah.
Because it's never the first suspect they look at.
Honestly, that's true. Yeah, and it took an entire, 450 pages for them to even, find a suspect. And so, I mean, I don't know. Somehow the old, the 1936 stuff has to link up with the new stuff, but you don't know how yet, and then the book just ends.
And also, the poem that Stevie dreamt didn't come back into play, except it kind of did because it started making sense to her at the end of the book. But we don't get to find out why, so I'm hoping that has, a big deal in the second book.
So the second book is already out, thankfully, so we have to go buy it now. But I'm just, because, this book was good. Don't get me wrong. It was
incredible.
Great. It was really good.
I loved it.
I just hated the way it ended. The author gave us nothing.
I loved it because, it leaves you wanting more, but
That's
at the same time, I hate it because I want to know what happens.
It's this book on its own would not be a good book because it has no ending. You have your climax and then there's no resolution. It's climax and there's ends right there. And it's once
you did.
It's when you get to the good part of the book and you're yes, I'm at the good part. This one, it was yeah, I'm at the good part. There's only 3 pages left, but I'm at the good part. And it's and then it just ends and you're wait, what? What am I supposed to do now? So we're going to go buy the second one. We'll probably definitely do a book talk over that one. I rate this book 4.5 stars. Maybe just 4. I don't know.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, a 7. I'm doing like 4 out of 5. Like on a Goodreads scale, 1 through 5.
Oh.
I'm giving it like a solid 4.5.
I'll give it like a 4.3.
Yeah. Like, it was really well written. It was really engaging. Usually it takes me a while to read a book. I read like 200 pages of this in one day, which for me is like, dang, what the heck. So I was like storming through. I really didn't want to put it down. It was very good.
It was.
Just my one complaint was that the ending ended before the ending should have ended.
And the relationship with David.
And David. Don't like David. So hopefully in the second book, David will be redeemed and the ending will be fulfilled. So looking forward to that. But other than that, I think that's about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, remember to like, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel for more bookish, creative, and etc. content.
Yes, and go buy this book. Buy it and read it and love it. But buy the second one along with it or you will be disappointed.
And if you haven't read it yet, why are you still here?
Honestly.
We just spoiled the whole thing.
Go.
Go away.
Go get the book. Bye, guys.